Hi, and welcome back to Pints with Pals. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Jeremy, and with me is
Mike. I'm the northernmost host.
Northernmost host. I like that. It's a great catchphrase from now on, right?
I'm gonna try.
There you go. So, what's on today's drinking pleasure?
So in current events, we are going to go with a Irish red. I went with
Ooh,
Smithwick's um, to Smithwick's red ale.
I'm not,
Um,
yeah, I like that.
I've had it before.
Okay.
It's a 4.5 percent alcohol.
Mhm.
It's an average red ale. I don't know. I don't know how
Fair
to.
enough.
Yeah.
So, I picked up a Sullivan's. So, this company's been around since 1702, which I think it makes it older than Guinness, which is interesting. It says on the back of it was pretty interesting. It says, "Enjoy the canned version of the Malting Irish Ale, our classic ruby ale with deep malt, combining rich biscuit and gentle caramel malts." Which I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean. It's supposed to be red and or ruby in color rather. A good foam. Aroma should have fruit. So no, this is weird. It says aroma malt with fruit taste balance. I'm not sure how taste and aroma works like that, but whatever. And then also has hop bitterness. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of funny. This one is similar. It's been around for over 300 years, like the Castle at Heart. But this one is with mild hops, sweet malt, and roasty barley. So,
Okay.
um,
All right.
yeah.
Try
So I
to
think that's
pop.
gonna be it's gonna be pretty good. Mine's not a poppable one, so I have
Oh,
to.
so I'm gonna try popping the mic. Let's see. Hopefully I come through.
It doesn't on my end because I think you have the sensor thing on. Whoop. Oh,
All
that's on the floor.
right. Right
Ooh,
on.
that sounds. Uh-oh. Too fast. It's like the second time I've ever poured a beer before on camera. I can hear the little like pops and fizzes of it. It's pretty insane.
Oh, it's loud. Yeah. The fruit smell on this is super strong. I'm not even sure what kind of fruit that is. Like I get like cherries and raisins and stuff like that. It's really it's insane. Top this off.
Mine just has a
Or you
beer smell. It's
just smells like beer.
yeah. It's not as red as I was expecting it to be, honestly. It's a little bit red, but not
Yours.
not too.
The only bad thing about some of these cameras, like sometimes it doesn't really show very well because yours almost looks brown
Yeah, in
when I
the
look at it.
webcam it looks brown. In
Yeah.
the other camera it doesn't look as brown.
So there's see even mine looks brown in this, but it's actually really red.
Yeah, I don't know.
So anything interesting on the nose at all besides just beer? Anything
Yeah,
you
it looks more brown when I do it that way. But
yeah.
no. So this I don't know, it's got a very I want to say vintage taste to me. Like this tastes like what beer tasted like when I was a kid. I mean, but I don't know because that's there's a lot of head on it still, so I'm just getting the flavors like out of like the poorly poured beer. Um,
Right. This is actually pretty good. You might like this one. This one's I think it's a combination of like because we smell more than what we taste, right? So having that nice sweet fruit smell, it kind of gives it a nice Swedish taste. Swedish,
it's
sweetish.
Irish, not
That's sweet.
Swedish.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I think you would like this one actually. It's not bad at all. I'm glad I picked it up. Actually, I was kind of disappointed because my local variety store only had like a handful of different Irish beers, and some weren't even Irish. Some were from Scotland. So I was like, well, I'm trying to do that because they had like some wee heavies and stuff like that. It sounded interesting, but I was like, no, it's the wrong time for that one. So what makes an Irish red? What's so special about it?
um, I don't really know. No, they basically it's just the specific malts that they're using, and I
Mhm.
think the roasted barley. Ultimately, it's just like a from what I looked up, it's just like a regular pale ale. That's got like a that they've just basically made a twist onto. There's a wiki that goes into extreme detail that
Okay.
I glanced over, but I did not have a ton of research before I did this one.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of knowledge on Irish Reds. Besides, like back in the day, probably 20 years ago, I used to really enjoy Killian's Red.
Me
I
too.
really, I thought it was a really good beer. It was like I thought it was nice and smooth. It wasn't really sweet, but I mean, I think it did have a little some sweet character to it. If I remember, I haven't drank it in a very long time. I started to have issues with it, so I kind of quit drinking it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've definitely it's one of those beers that I have to have on tap if I'm gonna have it. It tastes totally different in the bottle. I'm not a huge fan of the bottle. I don't know what they're doing, and I feel like Sam Adams is something similar to that because they have a lot of. I feel like a lot of their beer is very different on tap. I feel like probably a lot of beer is just different on tap in general, just because like
Yeah.
you're getting like whatever they do to bottle condition it, if they do bottle condition it specifically, I don't even know for the major breweries and things like that. But yeah, I think that this was kind of one of my favorite types. I will get a red if it's on tap. We have another Rochester, Michigan has another red ale, Rochester Red, and I love
Okay.
that one. That one's very, very good. If that's on tap, I will get that on tap over like some other stuff. So like that's kind of one of my go-tos.
Yeah, I'm not seeing too many people down here make Irish Reds. I'm not sure why, because it's a little bit of history where I live at. Like, so the Irish and Scots, predominantly founded this area, back in the late whatever 1600s or yeah, late 1600s, when the king was like, "You can't go past the mountains." They said, "Oh, forget you." They came on over anyways. So you think with the strong Irish immigrants around here, we'd have more Irish influence stuff, and there really isn't. I was really shocked by that. There's only a few things on here. When I lived in Michigan, you find Irish pubs in almost every city. It felt like I went
We
to.
have two in this city.
Yeah, right. I think
Not
Flint. When I
very
grew up,
big.
in Flint, there was like a dozen or so. I don't think only a handful exist now. But even Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, of all places, that's not a big town. But if you take it all the way up to 75, you go where the Sulaks are, and right where you get the entry, you turn around. Right there's an Irish pub. I love going there. They have the best uh, uh, fish that I've had in a long time. Is usually up there.
Cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
So I did some little bit of research. I was just kind of curious, like what other companies make Irish Red, and there's one called Kilkenny, which I know is a town or city in Ireland. I didn't know that was an actual name of a beer, so I'm gonna try to keep an eye out for that one. Another one I thought was pretty interesting was Sam Adams has an Irish Red. I've never seen that one ever. Have you
This
ever seen that
one,
one on the shelves?
no, but this one actually it says it's like the castle in the heart of Kilkenny, where
Wow. Okay.
Smithwick was formed. So if there's either two or that's another
Ooh,
brewery that's out there.
I'm getting curious where this one was made at. Let's see. It says
Because
drinkaware.ie is on
Guinness
there.
is from Kilkenny also,
Ooh, maybe. That's a good question.
and also
Let me get-
Kilkenny feels like a reference to South Park. I
Oh,
bet
yes.
you.
Yeah,
I never
I
watched
can
that.
see that.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Uh, that's all right. I'm Googling stuff real quick as
You
I'm a flying
googly.
manager pretty much.
Yeah, no, I think that the like heart of like I like not Irish beer, but like I feel like the heart of an Irish red is very smoky or malty more than anything. But this one's still the nose on this one is not the best. It smells of for me it smells a lot like a like just a keg, like a cheap keg beer from college. I don't know why.
Yeah, I'd say the next time you're out at Total Wine and More, definitely try to find Sullivan's. See if
Yeah,
they have
that
a
was I
one
was
of
gonna
those
say
beer.
that. When I went to Total Wine, they had like they have the international section, which was really really cool because they had just like probably like a 4x8 wall of like Irish, German, and something else beer. Kind of they weren't mixed in together, but I found which I didn't even know Guinness. I found like 3 different versions of Guinness.
Yeah.
and I'm anxious to try those because in the last episode you got my take on how much I didn't really care for Guinness right now, but I think that there's I want to try it again, and
Right.
I'm really wanting. And I didn't know Bass was a Guinness product also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like when you do a black and tan, then you have the two Guinness products. So I don't know. Irish Reds are my kind of go-to if I can't find anything, and then I'll typically go to like an amber ale or something of that nature. Trying to go through there. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, I definitely want to revisit Killian's Red again after trying this one. I would like to compare the two. I think it'd be an interesting experiment to see what the differences are. I also need to look into Killian's and see if it's still owned, if it's still a private company, if it got bought up over the years. Because like a lot of companies were bought or got bought up. Gosh, by some like just by some of the the major brands like
I think
Anheuser-Busch.
Coors owns
Coors,
Killian's
Coors owns
now.
them now. Yeah.
Or they do that thing where they have to get a percentage of the thing to be able to distribute because they
Mm-hmm.
won't allow them to, but I'm guessing they probably are making and distributing that in the United States.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I'll have to definitely check that out. Speaking of distributions and stuff like that, so there's a brewery that I want to take you to when you come down here. It's called Highland Brewery, and that's some of their issues is they can only transport so far. So they can hit like the bulk of Tennessee, Kentucky, of course, North Carolina. I'm not sure about South Carolina because when I did the tour, it wasn't a whole lot of states, but a lot of it had to do with like just being able to afford that. And I remember the guy was talking about if they were to sell out to somebody, which they don't want to, they could distribute whole United States, which that's not going to happen anytime soon. And I would hate for them to do it too because then I think they would change. There's a company here called Yeehaw which makes pretty good beers. Some of them are hit and miss, but some of them are experimental, which I'm sure you've had those when you go into like the breweries where like this is just off the wall stuff here. Just try this.
Did you say
You know?
yeehaws?
Oh, yep.
You're not that far south for that to be
I
the
am
name
not.
of the brewery.
That is what it's called.
That's
They're opening
hilarious.
their third brewery, and I've been to their second brewery, and it wasn't that good. Like I feel like whoever is doing like the headmaster there is tweaking the recipes, or maybe the water profile is different, or something just not right. And because I've drank a lot of their beer, at least I think it's pretty good. With that being said, I was going to talk about something else, and my brain eludes me at the moment. I want to say thanks for everyone who subbed so far. I think we really appreciate that. I know a lot of them are just friends and family, but thanks, we appreciate it, guys.
Yep. This is fun for us, but it's also potentially just fun for somebody else to listen to. So
Yeah.
I appreciate all that and look forward to the supporters and stuff. And like we said, if you're listening to this and have suggestions or ideas, just post them in the comments. And if there's ever any kind of giveaway, something that gets put on it, don't ever click on that. We aren't giving anything away.
No,
At least not anytime in the near future.
Gosh. Yeah, at all. No, not at all. Yeah, but like what Mike said, hopefully I can get the links working so people can just email us stuff or questions or whatever, or just make comments. That works as well too. It means a lot to us for sure. We're trying to distribute the podcast on different platforms. So if there's a platform out there that you use, I can try to look into it. I can also provide just an RSS feed, and maybe you can just put that into the app that you're using. That's usually what I use. I use an app called Podcast Addict, and I just grab the RSS feeds and I just dump it in that. I find that would be a lot easier than going to Google, then going over to Stitcher or whatever else is out there. Podcaster or whatever. Oh god, I am a nerd. I'm such a nerd. I'm a nerd about everything. I'm a nerd about beer. I'm a nerd about making beer. But speaking of making beer, I was going to make an Irish red. Truth be told, and I think I told you about this. Like I'm making Irish beer this year, and time just slipped by. I don't know what happened. Life things happen. I don't know, but I came up with a pretty easy recipe overall. I think it's easy. I was going to do, I think a 4-gallon batch. I'm looking at my notes right now. Yeah, I think a 4-gallon batch is what I was going to do. So basically, I was going to use like Mare's Otter as my base malt, which I really like that. I've used Mare's Otter and 2-row quite a bit. I can't really taste the difference in between them. I have used like what is it called? a 6-row malt, and I didn't really care for that one too much. Go ahead.
Are they a little bit less expensive? Like, because that was my wonder, is if like a brewery just uses those, or if somebody that's brewing could just use those specific malts to try and the malts or barley or hops or whatever you're going to use to get the alcohol content up high enough. I was wondering if that would, without adding very much flavor, if that's kind of what would happen. You know what I mean? Like if you're using a cheaper malt to just kind of be the bulk of the sugars that gets
that's pretty much it. Now, some of the base malts do provide color and some body, but not a whole lot. So there are like, I think Mare's Otter adds a little more body. I use it for like a smash beer, which we'll talk about smash beers in some other podcasts. That's why I kind of lean towards that. If I want more of a clean beer, I usually kind of go more towards like a 2-row. So when I made the Schwarzbier, that's what it is. I used 2-row for that. But to give it the color, I was going to use a chocolate rye, which would give it like a reddish hue to it. And then I was going to use a rye red crystal, which would have made it, I'm hoping, pretty close to this red in here, which looks brown in the camera. Apologies about that. Yeah, yours looks brown as well too.
Yeah.
And then a Cara Munich, again, that would just give more like body flavor and stuff like that. And the hops, I was going to use only one hop addition, and that would have been for the whole boil, and that was Magnum. Yeah. So Magnum, I've not used. No, I have used Magnum before. And one thing I thought was interesting about Magnum hops in the past was, for a long boil, it gives what's the esters I'm thinking of? What's it? Grassy is not a good one, but like green fruits in a way. So like I always think of like not really like apple, but it's something closer to an apple pearish kind of flavors to it. There's supposed to be citrus, but I don't get any citrus from it. It's also supposed to be menthol, but I assume you would get menthol if you if that was like the last 5 minutes, you just threw it in for like the aroma hops.
Yeah, menthol gives it just like that more like hoppy, not hoppy, but like minty almost flavor. I feel like.
Yeah, it most definitely would. The yeast. This was gonna be the first time I bought liquid yeast. I swear I'm never gonna use it because it's just so expensive. It's like triple the price for one package, versus I could buy like 6 packages of like dry yeast. Dry yeast can last a year or two, where liquid yeast only has a very small shelf life.
Can you split it into multiples and then like potentially vacuum seal it if you needed to, or does that make it worse?
A liquid yeast, so you can do what is that word called? It's not propagation. Basically, you can make clones. You can make children of like the mother, and you can go down like 10 generations of that same yeast without it changing. So I've never done that before, but if I do buy the more expensive yeast, I may get into something like that. I think that'd be kind of interesting to experiment. But I'd buy vials and all that kind of crap. But I think it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
just kind of nerd out a little bit.
You'll be test tubing those things for sure.
Yes. But yeah, that was my basic recipe, I should say. I was gonna do some salts to adjust the water. Nothing fancy. Like I was gonna use a little bit of baking soda, a little calcium chloride, and maybe some lactic acid. Basically, what lactic acid does, it drops the pH. So when I used the Brewfather app, I think my pH came out to be about 5.8, 5.9, which is a little high. So I wanted to drop that down. So I added like a little bit of lactic acid to raise it to like what most beers are at, between like 5.2 and 5.6, 5.7, something like that. That's where most of them are at. Unless you want a sour, then of course that's super low, like 3.5 or whatever.
The water, do you get your water from the same place every time?
So I buy distilled water. I was
gonna say, do you think that removes everything, so then you just are adding it back in?
Yes, yeah, because there's nothing. It's just I want a very plain blanket, basically, or canvas, or whatever we call it. I think canvas is a better word for that one. That's what so I can build my own my own water profile. So if I want hard water, I can make it hard. If I want it soft, I can do soft by just adding salts and acids and stuff like that. And sure, I mean, I'm positive that that's what breweries do as well too. But I think they don't use distilled water. I'm sure they just use whatever water is supplied by the city that they're in. They filter it probably just to get whatever out of it they can. You know, the chlorine, the fluoride, blah blah blah, and then they'll just adjust it to whatever style that they're trying to make. Especially if they're trying to make English styles. I think English styles are hard water. I feel like I could be wrong.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm wondering if that's what makes an Irish red more of an Irish red, is like the water that they're using that's coming down from whatever. Like you would think that potentially in Tennessee you would have like decent water because it's all coming down the mountains and things like that too. But I do know that Founders is here in Detroit, and there's one in Grand Rapids. I can tell their beer from any other beer from like
really?
the smells and flavors, and I don't know. That's why I was wondering if it's potentially like their quote unquote cheap yeast that they're using. I don't know if that's what's causing it to kind of have a flavor profile that I'm familiar with, that I understand, or if it's the water that they're using because it's like Detroit water. But I like
Maybe
Detroit
a little bit
water,
of both,
so
right?
yeah, I don't know. I just know that, or it could be the yeast that they're using, like whatever they're using that's consistent between all their beers. I feel like I can definitely taste it. I can definitely taste it.
Yeah, there's something slightly different from each plant or whatever brewery.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah, see, I grew up on Detroit water as well. I mean, that's what Flint used. We never used our own water until Flint switched over and had the whole water crisis. But
Like you can
but
make
yeah, so
heavy metal beer then.
yes, just be rocking out to it, right? Throwing the horns. So there is a spring not too well, about an hour and a half drive from here that comes right off the mountain, and people stop there all the time and fill up water jugs. I do want to try that, but I don't want to give it to nobody. I think I may just go and collect a few gallons of water, make like a 2-gallon batch of beer, because I don't want to get nobody sick.
Yeah, but you're boiling it though, so
I am
wouldn't that-
boiling it, but I'm not sure what's in it to begin with. Like, I'm sure what's going to settle out. I guess that's so. Like, I think after I boil it, then I would transfer it to another vessel once everything boiled out or settled or whatever. Because I don't.
Right.
know
Well,
what
you could Brita water filter it, and
yeah,
like,
do that too. Yeah.
like really, that'd be a really cool experiment. And then I feel like I don't even know what you would want to do. Like, what kind of beer would you want to put that? Because like you would want to be able to taste the water in it, right? Like,
Yeah. So something simple. So like maybe a lager, pilsner.
right. Well, I don't feel like a lager is that easy, but
Well, I mean, I got that spunding valve, and that's
Oh,
what I
yeah,
bought
that's
it for. So, so
yeah, that's
I mean,
another
it might not be
episode. Holy
easy,
shit.
but yeah. Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah. I definitely can't wait to geek out on some future homebrew stuff.
Yeah, I don't
yeah,
know. I guess like that would be a good point in like kind of in that genre, whatever genre that would require that. But basically, spoiler alert, it's like a pressuring valve.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Just think of your Instapot, like right, it builds up pressure. Then once it gets too high, it starts releasing pressure. I guess our Instapot's not a good example.
I do that too, which is
what's the other thing? Pressure cookers that our parents used
Instapot
back
is a
in the
pressure
day.
cooker. Yeah, you were right.
It is, but I don't feel like you can set how much pressure you want into it. I feel like you just give it time and it just does whatever.
I assume that it is the same as a pressure cooker. Like I think that there's like a valve on the top that like scares the shit out of you when you try and pop the thing open.
But I remember like you could move that.
Yeah, but I think that just
valve
lets it
symbol
go.
out.
Like if you twist it one way,
Fair
it just
enough.
goes and then burns your hand off.
That's good. You're good. I just thought I remember seeing writing on them. Put your hand off.
Ow! Don't smile and try and drink a beer at the same time. It hurts. Oh, I found a brewery down in Ohio, and not a brewery, a store down in Ohio, and we've been there like 3 times. But because Michigan and Ohio, I'm so close to the Ohio border, it's not very far. But the different beers, like Jeremy's running into issues, like distributors can only go so far. So a lot of the Illinois and Indianapolis breweries can only distribute to Ohio and like other southern states. For whatever reason, Michigan won't let them kind of distribute here. So I had to go down there to get some like special release beers. So that's another episode too, but they gave me this cup for buying something. It's an old Rasputin cup
cool.
from the Northern Coast Brewing Company. So
That's a
thought it
good
was pretty
beer.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw some on the shelf the other day, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna buy some of that."
That's good. If you had this, that's jumped too far, but the Sierra Nevada's Norwell, whatever.
I don't think so.
The Unicorn of the Sea, yeah, it's another dark, like Rasputin like stout, but yeah, it's a good one. Dude, yeah, this is a very good. I wish I had more of these.
Right.
Really,
I wish I'd have bought a 6-pack of this one. I'm always afraid to buy a 6-pack, but now I know. This was very tasty. It was something that I would definitely order on tap. The smell is not. The smell just smells like a cheap beer, which is nuts. And I wonder what
is it still there, or has it gassed
no,
off?
it's still there.
Still there. Still pungent.
Yeah, it's still just it sucks me back to like college when they were drinking like Natty Light on tap or whatever. I'm like, ugh.
Never had that. Ugh. Never.
You did not miss out on anything.
No, we have one episode hopefully coming up soon that's gonna be talking about like some of our first beers that we had, and I got some stories.
Yep. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that episode. We actually do have a third host.
Yes.
That hopefully will make his debut at some point, but it's one of our other buddies. The P in PALs.
Yes. Because it's trying to be Al's.
Right. We should just change it for like when it's just us.
Yeah, right.
It's like Pints with Al's. They'd be like, "Are you guys named Al?" Like, no.
No. We'll just get a picture of like Al Bundy with his hands down his pants, just relaxing on the couch, watch TV. I love that show. That show is so good. I still watch it today. Like if I ever see a rerun, I'm watching it.
Yeah, I feel like that Love and Marriage song got ruined by that TV show, but then it's been off the air for so long that the Love and Marriage song has kind of gone back to like being okay to be played at weddings and stuff. Because like when you heard it, it's like goes together like a horse and carriage, and it's like, it's like the worst thing.
This poor guy's handing out money to everybody, even the dog.
God, that was an old show. It was so good.
Yeah.
Showing our age though now, Jeremy. We're showing our age.
Yeah. I think my hair and my beard shows my age.
Yeah, my lack thereof.
Well, see, you say that, but I remember going to high school with the kids went to high school with some kids that were balding.
Yeah. I started balding in college, I think. Like thinning anyway. I would shave my head, but I look like a bowling ball. Or not a bowling ball, a bowling pin. It's very like pointy on the top of it, and it's really. And then I would look a lot like that guy.
Yeah.
For those of you that can't see because you're listening to a podcast, I have a poster of Walter White from Breaking Bad, and the like caption says, "Apply yourself." I thought it was fitting. I actually got this from a podcast that I was listening to. The guy did graphical arts, and I was like,
okay.
I really liked that, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna help you out. So I bought it probably 15 years ago, and I just put it up when we got in this house. So I've had it in like a little tube thing for 15 years.
Well, you can't see mine. One day I'll show up with the poster that's there. I bought not quite that long ago, but like at least 12 years ago, and it sat in the tube forever. I finally had a chance to put it up. Yep. Well, that's cool, man. Well, I think that's all I got for this episode. Do you got anything else you want to?
Nope. I really enjoyed this beer. Right. It was a fun tasting. The smell is terrible, but the tasting is good.
Like I said, I get cherries and raisins, man. Cherries and raisins.
Huh. Yeah, that's good. I should try that one. We'll have to put links to the beers we're drinking in the show notes.
Yeah,
and stuff
that's
too.
A good idea. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay, well, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for subbing. So some more, hit like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm not sure what you do on podcasts. Maybe star it, whatever.
Right. Tell your friends.
Yeah, tell your friends. Yes.
Tell your pals. Sorry, I misspoke.
All right. Well, until then.
All right. Cheers
to you. I'll see you guys later.
Bye.